Steel Hunters, the game that took pride in its 3 years of development. A game that only gave you access to sporadic closed beta weekends if you signed a long legal agreement to not distribute any footage of the game. They even pasted the words "Do not distribute" all across your screen with watermarks everywhere. They held their secrets very close to their chest throughout development for whatever reason. I myself followed the game for a long time. I participated in various closed alphas and beta weekends for the last 2 years, after I signed up in April of 2023. While waiting for the game to come out, I saw steady improvements, new playable mechs added, new mechanics and functionalities added constantly. I saw a game I was genuinely very excited about. A game that rewarded good positioning and teamwork over flicking precision aim like Valorant. A game that someone with hand issues like myself could get good at. And then they released it in April of 2025, and it sucked balls. Now 3 months later, they've already shuttered development for it. The game is effectively dead. So what happened in 3 months to kill a game so quickly? Well, the effects are pretty easy to identify, though we don't really know what caused them. The game launched on April 2nd in a worse state than I had ever seen it in 2 years of playing it. The game ran beautifully in the betas, solid 60 to 120 FPS, no crashes, no drops. The only issue really being that you had the "Do Not Distribute" watermark all over the screen, making the game look pretty shitty. But that was a small price to pay to play a game I enjoyed so much. Now you'd be hard-pressed to hold on to 30 FPS in a gunfight in the actual release of the game. Unironically. I'm coming.
Enemy Colossus activated. Extra time granted.
Holy. Okay. Alright, the Colossus is obliterating my computer. That was also if the game didn't freeze or crash along the way, which it did constantly. The performance was abysmal dog shit at any possible setting. So, the performance was awful, but what else was wrong? Well, 3 characters that were completely ready and playable in the beta weren't here on launch for some reason. Fletcher, Razorside Old Guard, and Taurus were not available on launch. Both Old Guard and Taurus both having complete kits 2 years ago. So why weren't they here? They were completely ready and playable in the beta. The only mech that I could agree needed to be withheld was Fletcher, as his kit was a fucking mess in 2023 when they released him, and he was already removed from the beta quickly after they released him so that they could work on him more offline. None of these 3 playable mechs were available when the game launched. They even scrubbed them from the website and forums at the time. I can only assume they withheld Taurus and Old Guard because they didn't have any further mechs in the pipeline and they needed a facade of post-launch support. And Fletcher was the last mech they released before the game came out. Bear in mind that Fletcher, according to this email I received from their newsletter, was available in November of 2023 per my proof on this email. That means they did not make a new mech in almost 2 years before the game came out. The fact they announced the release of a quote new mech, Taurus, on April 18th of 2025 alludes to this fact as well. They expected people who hadn't participated in the beta to just accept that this was a brand new mech and not speak up and tell other people. Nope, he was one of the first available mechs in the beta over 2 years ago. He was there the entire fucking time. So where did he go on release? But this wasn't the only content lacking. It wasn't just a few characters. There were very few maps, little to grind for, no ranked. Ultimately, there was no reason to play besides fun and enjoyment. But if your game doesn't perform well and has no other reasons to play it, there's no variety of things to do or things to try within the game, what do you have left? All you get is a rudimentary battle royale with 7 playable characters, all while running like shit. The game was free to play, which is a good thing, mind you, but there wasn't even stuff to buy in the game, so how did they expect to make money from this? Was this planned to be a failure from the beginning? I don't get it. Also, did you know that Steel Hunters was even a game? Probably not, because beyond the fact they refused to let anybody share any footage of the game before it was publicly available, they barely advertised it either. So you probably didn't even know this game was a thing until you saw the clickbait articles being spread about how it died in 3 months. And I can't blame you for that. They did not tell anybody this was happening unless you subscribed to a newsletter. So, what happened? Considering how closely they held this game to their chest the entire time they worked on it, we don't have details about what happened behind the scenes. So I can only tell you what I know from my own experiences from alpha to beta to release and educated guesses on the rest. For some reason, they removed content from a game already lacking offerings before releasing this shallow game in an abysmal state. They didn't even allow content creators to spread any awareness about this game before it released to help advertise it. They also barely advertised it themselves, so it was immediately dead on arrival. Then the few people who did manage to find it on their Steam homepage after release tried it and were immensely disappointed and completely uninstalled it. I myself left a negative review that about 10 people said was helpful. Considering how small the player base was, 10 people is a lot. And I want to circle back quickly to the whole Fletcher thing because that really bothered me. Fletcher was the last mech they introduced in the beta over 2 years ago. You're telling me they didn't develop a single other playable mech in 2 years after developing 10 of them in 1 year of their 3-year development cycle? What happened after the first year that completely stunted this game's growth? Where did all of that development go? And why was it so awful on release when it was better in the beta? Well, Steel Hunters was developed by Wargaming.net, you know, the World of Tanks guys. The guys that basically own all of those random vehicle milsim games you see YouTube ads about. The guys that sponsor so many goddamn YouTube videos that it could compete with Raid Shadow Legends for the amount of times World of Warships has interrupted a video I'm watching. If the company that constantly and aggressively advertises every property they own refused to advertise their newest property after 3 years of development, why? Why did they not put that effort in? They do it all the time. I really don't know. They held everything about this game so close to their chests the entire time. We know so little about 3 years of development or what happened in that last quarter before the game came out to make it launch in such a terrible state. It's insanity to me to think that a game was better in its beta than its full release. I don't know how that happens or why it's so prevalent in 2025. All I do know is that it's becoming more common with every year that passes, and if something doesn't change, it'll just keep getting worse. We have initiatives now like the Stop Killing Games initiative overseas, with hundreds of thousands of people wanting to get involved with it, and that's an incredible thing. I really hope that that initiative comes back over to us in the US and we have some developments forward here. I really hate that games are basically made to die in 2025. Games that I think have a lot of potential to offer full careers to the people working on them and a lot of fun for us to play them. I don't understand what's going on in the game development world, but I really don't like it. And I am immensely disappointed with the quick death of Steel Hunters, a game I looked forward to for over 2 full years. The game is still live right now, and all the unlockables are given to everybody for free, so if you wanted to give it a try yourself and see if you even like it, go ahead. Just a heads up that I only had a single afternoon to make this, and this isn't the Death of a Game series by Nerdslayer. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to invest that he has into his videos, so this is all you're getting. But I figured it would be good and informative to get some information from someone who was kind of on the inside of this whole mysterious fog around this game for a couple years. And I hope you got something out of this video that the developers probably wouldn't get if they watched it. Thank you to the members and patrons for making A Cripple Believe His Lodge has a chance on YouTube. Subscribe for more, and most importantly of all, hunters, steel or otherwise, stay blessed.